Hi everyone. If I look a bit shiny, it's just because I've just gotten out of the shower. So I just wanted to make this short video for my fellow TIs. I actually got a letter back from MI5, believe it or not. And I've got a reference number, their reference number, and then I've got my reference. Okay, so they sent it on the 17th of August 2023. And it says here, Dear Ms. Deacon, I've got the check attached to this letter actually. I'll get to that in a moment. Dear Ms. Deacon, Data Protection Act 2018 Subject Access Request. We acknowledge receipt of your letter and documents in which you have made a request to the Security Service for access to personal data under Section 94 of the Data Protection Act 2018. Now, this is where we get to the fun part. And I'll get to why in a minute. This seems really minor, what I'm about to read you, but it's not, and I'll get to why in a minute. The check you supplied was payable to Data Controller, SAR account, and was unsigned. That means I forgot to sign the check. As such, we cannot accept it and we enclose it for your disposal. To enable us to process your request, please provide a signed check for £10 made payable to SAR account. Now, they make an additional note here saying that they don't accept cash or any other form of payment, which is fair because I actually asked, do you accept postal orders, right? So I asked that question and they said, no, they don't do that, which is fair. And they said, we will process your request once we receive this check. Yours faithfully, Lawrence Brett, Data Controller. All right. Now, notice how I didn't say anything. And all they basically said was, yeah, your check ain't signed, love. That's basically the long and short of it. But this is gang stalking. And nothing, and I mean nothing, in gang stalking, every minor detail is weaponized against you. Now, I had a dispute with a hotel that I was supposed to pay for. The money didn't come through and I was unable to pay them. And the first thing that I want to bring up was I was contacting the hotel over and over again, trying to get them to acknowledge that I could not make the payment. So I tried them over and over again and they deliberately would not answer me. That behavior mirrors another TI who 1 minute was forced to get monthly injections. And then when this person is trying to ascertain what's going on with the injections, they can't get an answer out of anybody. So at the same time that I'm going through this hotel dispute in which the hotel won't answer the questions as to whether or not they've received communications from me about the money, at the same time that's happening, a TI friend of mine is deliberately being ignored by mental health just so that they can turn around and use that against her later. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's happening at around the same time. Another thing that I want to point out is that the street theatre pointed out that without a signature, I am not expected to pay anything. Check the date that this letter was written by them. It was written by them on the 17th of August. I was talking about this hotel dispute at least a week before that. And I was getting street theatre about the fact that if you don't sign anything, then you're not obligated to give me any money. That means MI5 received the check and basically informal collaborators were taunting me about the fact that it wasn't signed. So clearly, message received. And the fact that they were so prompt with it, that gives me hope as well. Because if they're really, really prompt with that response, I cannot wait to see what their answer is. I honestly cannot wait. Because the street theatre was basically telling me MI5 received it. And not only did they receive it, that my check wasn't signed. what you will notice as a targeted individual is that whatever you do, there will be little alludes made to what you've done and how you've done it. Any mistakes made, they will talk about it in, in unrelated conversations, or in vague, like there's a vague connection. They make vague connections between what they're telling you in code and the thing that they're referencing. They'll make a vague connection between what they say and between what they actually say and what they're talking about. It's a loose connection. That's another part of psyops. That's another part of, well, it's another part of psyops. Basically, it's like I said before, when you're a targeted individual, one way or another, right? Part of the psyops is that the perps have to tell you what's going on. The handlers have to tell you what's going on. Now, they could tell you through the perps, they can even tell you through TIs. But the thing is, gang stalking, the way it works is that they have to tell you what's actually going on. It's just that they can't say it in a way that you will understand, because if you understand, then you'll do something about it. So, 17th, when was the dispute with the where I call it there, the dispute with the hotel and everything that went down with the hotel was, I think, a week before that, or at least a few days before that. That means they received the letter. That means around the time of the hotel dispute, they received the letter and the check. And they were taunting me about having not signed it, having not signed the check. So now I've got to dispose of this one, write a new one, which isn't a problem, send it off. And it'll be interesting to see what their response is then. Because from what I've heard, MI5 like to drag things out. First off, they dicked Catherine Horton about, because first they, I think she applied to get information from them about 3 times. And on one of the time they responded, they said that the matter was trivial. That's basically them admitting to what they were doing. And that was basically them admitting to what they were doing. And they were just saying it was trivial. Yeah, we're trafficking you. We're having whole communities set upon you by falsely accusing you of being a terrorist or a criminal. Yeah, we're doing this to you, but it's trivial. It's like, let it go. It's trivial. And as you guys know, as many of you TIs know, she had a court case a few years back. One person who was there, one eyewitness who was there, said that during the trial, basically during the hearing, that Catherine Horton was forced to attend, the judge didn't know what to do with himself. And an MI5 representative had to enter the courtroom and say that there was no one to testify on their end. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at Catherine. I'm actually laughing at them, because they're basically admitting it in every single other way except saying, yes, we've been doing this to other citizens. They had this woman spend thousands of pounds on a court case, and then when the court case actually comes, MI5 makes sure that none of their representatives or none of the people that could actually testify show up to court. So it's definitely them. It's definitely them. They're definitely behind it. And then on top of that, I've heard about what they do to people who ask for their information. Catherine Horton was one of the lucky ones, because she applied multiple times, but she at least got a response from them, basically being arrogant and saying that it was trivial. Ordinarily the way that they like to do it, according to Barry Trow, at least, because he's ex MI5, right? The way MI5 usually like to do it is, when you ask for information, instead of saying yes or no right away, they'll give you a series of questions. So they'll send one question after the other question, and they'll keep doing this for years. Because what happens is that when you ask for a subject access request, If I have this wrong, please correct me. If there are any legal people or any MI5 people who watch this video, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just remembering what Barry told me, right? So what happens is that you apply for subject access request. Before they give you a straight, either they can say no and say under the Official Secrets Act, we can't tell you or we can't give you your information. So they'll either say that, or what they'll do is they'll drag it out. So they'll go back to, I think they'll go back to the Ministry of Defense or a barrister for the Ministry of Defense, something like that. And then they'll come back to you with one question at a time. So they'll come back and say, okay, well, what do you need this for? Then you'll send a letter back saying, well, I need it for this reason. Then they'll come back and ask another question and say, well, how do we know it's you? In which case you have to send your documentation again. So they have ways of trying to drag out the process of you actually getting the information. That's an admission. If they refuse to give you the information under the Official Secrets Act, that's another admission. The only way they can avoid admission is to give me the information. But if they give me the information, then I will know exactly how they've been getting information on me and everybody else that I've been living with. So they've got three options here. They can refuse, they can drag it out, or they can just give me the information. Give me the information redacted, or they can give me the information unredacted. Actually, that's four options. That's four options they've got, all of which is going to make them look extremely guilty. Because they've got data on me up the wazoo. Serious data up the wazoo. Including medical records, evidence of all the injuries that I've been talking about that were reported to be delusional by a GP. Four options. All of them, absolutely all of them, make them look guilty as hell. That's why I'm not worried. Not worried at all. Me being sectioned under the Mental Health Act, now I'm starting to understand that's the best thing that could have happened to me, because now I can ask the question, and however they process the information, whatever answer they decide to give me, it's an immediate admission of guilt. If they give it to me unredacted, then I'm going to know exactly how they've been getting information on me. They give it to me redacted, it's the same thing. They refuse, that means they've been involved in crimes against me. If they drag it out, same thing. It's an admission, all of it. So yes, I will be writing that check. And don't worry, MI5. Don't worry, I am absolutely going to have that signed. And I know we're going to have a lot of fun together. So, you guys take care. Peace and blessings. And yeah. Now MI5 has basically confirmed that that the perps are working for them through the street theatre with regards to the signature. That was all I needed. But getting a little bit more is not going to hurt, you feel me? So, peace and blessings, my fellow TIs. Take care. I love you so much. Bye-bye.